going to talk about data governance in AI world. So data governance ensures standards in data security, data integrity, and so many aspects in traditional data management. In the world of AI, also its presence is more important, and data governance plays even a more crucial role than in traditional data management. In this video, I'm going to talk about a couple of scenarios and how data governance can help even in AI world. In the world of AI, data governance plays an even more crucial role than in traditional data management. Here is why it's so important. First aspect is high quality AI requires high quality data. So as we know, AI relies on data. So if we feed AI, garbage data, so it will throw out the garbage. So which means garbage in, garbage out. So for this scenario, we just take one example here. Consider a fictional scenario where a bank utilizes AI for loan approvals. Without proper without proper data governance, the bank might feed the AI model with incomplete customer data, lacking factors like income verification or complete employment history. This garbage in would lead to unreliable garbage out as the AI model approves or denies loans based on insufficient information. So here is how data governance can prevent such a scenario. So by following quality standards. So data governance would establish clear standards for customer data collection, ensuring all necessary information like income verification and employment history is captured accurately. Data bias detection. Data governance process can identify potential biases in the data. For example, the bank might uncover a historical bias where AI model was approving loans for customers living in certain zip codes but not others, regardless of creditworthiness. Data lineage tracking. Data governance allows tracking the origin and flow of data used by the AI model. This helps identify any errors or inconsistencies introduced at different stages of data collection and processing. So what we are talking about here is, you know, even though it's AI, we need to follow certain guidelines and process to ensure that AI is giving the accurate results. So we'll go to the next scenario. Mitigates bias and fairness issue. So biased data can lead to a biased AI models. Data governance helps identify and mitigate bias in data sets, promoting fairer and more ethical AI development. We are taking a scenario here is a city is developing an AI system to predict high crime areas and allocate police resources more effectively. So potential biases. So what could be like potential biases in general when we hear right about a certain city or a certain place. In general, we say that okay, that area is a risky area, that area is good area. So it is just based on some historical evidences, we just talk like that. But if you feed same kind of data to AI, so it also gives same sort of information for the state or city. They deploy more people there, and the people who are living there, they may feel embarrassed why we have so many cops are deployed in our area. So that is not accurate data. So and that's what we are talking about here by talking about potential biases. One is the historical arrest data. Training data based solely on historical arrest could perpetuate existing racial biases in policy. Areas with more frequent patrols might see more arrests regardless of actual crime rates. Socioeconomic factors. If the AI model considers factors like poverty or unemployment, it could reinforce negative stereotypes and unfairly target certain neighborhoods. I think as we talk about here, the first scenario, So if you deploy more people, there is a possibility that can identify more, basically cops could arrest people more because there are more people and more cops are there and they're watching more people. And similarly, it's about socioeconomic factors. If you think like poor areas could lead to issues, then if you deploy there without having proper evidence, so it also an issue. So let's see how data governance can solve these issues. Data source diversification. Data governance can ensure the AI model is trained on broader set of data, including crime reports, victim surveys, and social media sentiment analysis. This paints a more holistic picture of crime activity beyond just arrest data. Data features engineering. Data governance helps identify potential biased features in the dataset. For example, instead of using a zip code, which might correlate with the socioeconomic factors, the model could use data on a specific types of crime incidents. Model fairness testing. Data governance process can include testing the AI model for fairness across different demographics. This might involve analyzing how the model predicts crime rates in predominantly white versus minority neighborhoods. Human oversight and explainability. Data governance can ensure there is a human oversight of AI system, that its decision making process is explainable. This allows authorities to identify and correct any biased outputs from the model. So here we are talking about whatever the data that AI is producing, so somebody has to ensure that the decision making process is accurate, and can it be like explainable why the AI is predicting the model, or why it's like informing that that area is risky area, or we need to deploy more. So that kind of validation needs to be need that validation is needed even in case of AI. By implementing these data governance practices, the city can develop a fairer AI system for crime prediction. The model will consider a wider range of data points, avoiding reliance on potentially biased historical arrest data. This leads to a more equitable distribution of police resources and avoids unfairly targeting certain communities. So let's move on to another scenario. So ensure regulatory compliance. So when we talk about compliance, mostly, I mean, it applies for all organizations and all kind of companies. Whereas in healthcare, it's more predominant. Healthcare needs to comply the rules set by the government. So that's why we are taking a use case of a healthcare, how this compliance comes into picture, and how data governance can ensure that organizations follow the compliance. As AI regulations evolve, data governance helps organizations comply with data privacy and security laws. This is especially important for sensitive data used in AI applications. Scenario. Let's, as I said, so we are taking a healthcare scenario. A healthcare company develops an AI system to analyze patient medical records for early disease detection. So this is, from the company point of view, this is important, and for both company and for the people, because early detection, using early detection, the disease can be cured, and it's beneficial for the customer, the company, and as well as for the society. And it helps a lot, because if the disease is not curable, or if it causes like a lot of issues down the line, and since utilizing the AI system to to detect these kind of diseases is a very welcome news, and it's good. However, company needs to follow certain rules and regulations, and some of them we are describing here, and how the AI could mislead or could not follow these compliances, and how the data governance can help. We will just go through in this slide. So first one is patient consent. So without patient's consent, AI should not use any data. So when we go to hospital, in a hospital, so they will ask okay, are you okay to feed this information or give this information to someone else? So without our consent, so AI should not use the data. So then other one is data minimization. So the data minimization is, even though you give the consent for that, is like, AI is used to detect certain disease, and for certain disease this data, entire patient data is not needed, only certain data is needed. So in this case, AI should use only minimum data. And the third one, which has subject rights. So patients have the right to be forgotten. So in the sense, patients can say that they don't want to share the information. In that case, AI should be able to understand and not to use the data. And let's see how data governance can help AI to follow those guidelines. First one, we are talking about data mapping and classification. So data governance helps identify and classify sensitive patient data according to the government requirements. This ensures appropriate security measures are implemented for this data. So as we are talking about, it is certain data. If it is too sensitive, and if it is not to be shared, so data governance ensures that the data model is not developed to utilize this data. And consent management framework. Data governance establishes a clear and documented consent process for patients opting into AI system for disease detection. This ensures patients understand and how their data is used and have the right to withdraw consent at any time. Data roles. Data governance, who can access patient data for the AI model and what level of access they have. Only authorized personnel involved in the development and operation of the AI system should have access to specific data points needed. Data lifecycle management. Data governance dictates how long patient data is retained for AI purposes and establishes procedures for disposal of data once it's no longer required. This aligns with government principle of storage limitations. By implementing these data governance practices, the healthcare company demonstrate compliance with the government regulations. The safeguards This safeguards patient privacy and builds trust in the AI system for early disease detection. It's important to note that data governance is an ongoing process, so the company would need to stay updated on any evolving government regulations and adapt their practices accordingly. I hope you got a good understanding on data governance, how data governance even helps AI, and what is the importance of data governance. Thank you for watching.